Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday.
Hi, friends.
How are you tonight, Carrie?
I'm doing well. How are you? Birthday
Uh,
gift. Sorry, I wasn't going to mention that.
oh, well, yes. Okay, folks. Yes. Thank you, Carrie.
Happy
Carrie, you
birthday.
already mentioned it on Telegram, so
Okay.
it's all good. Yeah, I'm excited for tonight's show. How about you?
I am. So are you having a good day? How are you?
I am having a great day. I worked, but my sister brought me some birthday cake over lunch.
Ooh, nice.
And yeah, I'll be celebrating on Friday. So
Cool. It's a better
rather than
day.
today, I had to work today, and you know
Yeah.
how that goes. So
Yeah.
yeah, but so yeah, tonight we're gonna be talking about some really cool things, and I think some people's minds will be blown. Some people have probably seen some of this stuff. I think we'll have a variety there, but yeah, we're going to talk about the Old Testament and how Hebrew translations show that Jesus would be coming. And like the words in the Bible, they actually have meanings behind them. We're going to show how you can piece those together. We're going to talk about the lineage from Adam to Noah
Mm-hmm.
and prophecies that were in the Old Testament that were proven and fulfilled in the New Testament. So I'm super excited. How about you, Carrie?
Oh, I am. It's so fascinating because the Bible, it's an integrated message system. And it's
I love that.
because I mean you can read it and then you can go a layer beneath and just keep peeling the onion. And I mean it is absolutely the product of supernatural engineering, right? I
It
mean
absolutely is.
every number, every place, every name, every detail, every jot and tittle are there for a reason. And and I think God put it all there for our discovery and our amazement. Really,
Absolutely. He
right?
sure did. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Herbie's in chat on Rumble. So, hi,
Oh,
Herbie.
hey, Herbie.
Thank you so much for joining us. And so, should we get started?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Before we start with those three segments, they like one video that we have references uh, like numbers you can look up, and I kind of wanted to share do a little summary of a tool that you can use to
Mhm.
translate Hebrew and each word and what it means, so you can look up words in the Bible. And I'm going to do a very quick, just a quick summary, but uh, it's called Strong's Concordance, and this one happens to be at Eliah.com. It's ELIYAH.com. And there's a tool you can use to do those translations and put those pieces together, because we're going to show you how that is done. So basically, if you want to study the scriptures, it's a tool for
Mhm.
studying. It takes every single word from the Bible and lists where the words can be found, not only in the scriptures, but also tells you what the meaning of that word means. And each word has a number reference. And we're going to show you a couple examples later on how to look up words in this tool. I'm very new. I just recently discovered it myself. So I'm not going to go in depth, but we'll do a couple of lookups, and yeah, it'll be pretty cool. For
Yeah,
those who,
it's an
oh,
awesome tool. It,
do you use it, Carrie?
no, no, I don't. I just have lots of different types of Bibles,
Yes.
you know. So,
Well,
but this is probably it's faster and it's very handy. I mean, why not use that in addition?
yes. Well, and as we go through and talk about the meanings behind some of the words in the Bible, it may be a tool you want to go to and check out, and we'll verify maybe a couple of those words that we talk about. But yeah, our first segment is a video. Do you want to set it up, or do you want me to?
Just like I said, I mean, it's an integrated message system, and so we're going to look at the first three words of the Bible in the beginning. Very simple, right?
Very simple.
It's that simple. But is it?
Yeah.
Is
Hey,
it?
Becca's in chat too. Becca.
Oh, Mariswa's here. Hey, and Becca.
Yeah, Becca
Oh,
too.
we've got a great. Oh, oh
Yeah.
yeah, Becca. Hi guys.
It's so nice for you guys to join us. Please, like, put any comments about what we're covering here, and we would love to hear your thoughts on these things.
Hmm.
That would be awesome. But yeah, so let's go ahead and just talk about the first three words in the Bible. Let's look at the video for this, shall we?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Let me make sure I put it full screen here.
What time is it? It's Bible tea time. In the beginning. Okay, let's pause right there and look at this in Hebrew. The Hebrew word for beginning is this word right here, bereshit. And remember, they read from right to left. So we will break down every letter together. So from right to left, this is the letter Beit, Resh, Aleph, Shin, Yod, and Tav, which spells bereshit, which means beginning. The letter Beit, or B, means tent, and the letter Resh, or R, means the chief, the head chief. Together, BR is read as bar, and together it means son. The letter Aleph is kind of like a vowel, and it means Adonai, so we'll do a heart for God. The letter Shin means to destroy, so it's kind of like, looks like a claw, so that's how I remember it. This character means hand, the letter Yod. And this last character is Tav, which is T, and it means cross or covenant. To summarize, Beit, Resh, Aleph, Shin, Yod, Tav spelled Bereshit, which means the beginning, and it's already forming a sentence. The Son of God destroyed by his own hand on the cross. But we're not done yet. Earlier, we discussed how Beit and Resh together is pronounced bar, which means son, so there are words within this word. Another one is Shin, Yod, and Tav. Together, it is read say it, but the English word is thorns. And if you want to look it up, the concordance number is H7898. Next, we have Resh, Aleph, and Shin, which is read as Rosh, and in English, it means head. So just to prove it, we've got Resh, Aleph, and Shin right there. The next word we're going to discuss is Berosh, which is spelled with a B, R, and Shin. So it's this except for Aleph. So this means tree, cypress tree, actually. These two together, the Shin and Yod, means gift. And again, Tav means cross or covenant. Okay, let's try to put this together. The Son of God destroyed by his own hand on the cross with thorns on his head, hung up on a tree as a gift of the covenant. Wait, so Jesus was in the beginning? Yes. In John 1:1, what does it say? In the beginning was the Word. And who was the Word? The Word was God. The Word was with God. So since the very beginning, Jesus had always been there.
Awesome, huh?
So amazing.
The first time I saw that, she just blew my mind.
Yeah. I mean, I did not know that until I saw that video.
Right?
And I've done some exegetical, deeper into the word studies, and I didn't know that. So it's pretty mind-blowing how awesome our God is. And it really illustrates the meticulous detail that that God had in his plan for for all of us and for eternity for us since the fall. I mean, it was already planned because God's never surprised, right?
Exactly.
No.
He's never surprised.
So, I mean, what do you think? It seems to me that he knew what was going to happen in the
Malaya
garden.
says God bumps.
Pardon?
Malaya says God bumps instead of goosebumps.
Right? I know. I have them every time I watch it. I have them. Um, so it's he already had the plan because he knew. I mean, he gave us the free choice because that's how much he loves us and wanted us to choose to be in that relationship. But he also had the plan for what happened right in the beginning. I mean, it's so incredible. Yeah.
It really is. I want to do a shout out to Patriot AU says happy birthday, Nevs. Thank you.
Aw.
I appreciate you. He's such a good one. What a keeper he is. Yeah, that video blew me away the first time I saw it. It was a couple of years ago. And I'm like, whoa, I got to study this stuff. But I have to have time to delve into it. But man, she did another one too. She just connects the dots. I'm telling you. And yeah, that was really interesting. Every message we need is in the Bible.
100%.
100%.
And it's there for us to discover. It's really exciting. It's an adventure, really. You know, if you look at it that way and approach it that way.
Exactly. So our next segment, we are going to talk about the lineage. Do you want to kind of set the context before I bring up?
Sure.
Okay.
So yeah, we're going to look at Genesis 5, and we're going to see how through 10 generations from Adam to Noah have great significance in the story of the gospel. You know, they hold significance in the meanings of their lives, but there's more importance to them. And so we know it's all through the names. And we know that names are important to God, right? I mean, he changed names in the Bible many times, and they all had very significant meaning. From Abram to Abraham, right? And Abram was exalted father. Abraham is father of many nations. So it signified the future. And then Jacob was deceiver, and God changed his name to Israel, which means he who prevails with God. And Israel prevailed through Jacob, and
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, and then Simon was changed to Peter or Cephas, which means rock. Simon, it's so funny because that was to be heard. And you know how Peter was really funny. He was kind of like, he was very outspoken. And I love Peter, though. He's just so funny to me. and then, so Simon was to be heard, and then Peter was rock. And he became the rock and foundation of the early church. So those are just some examples of how they are not random. And in the same way, when we look at the meanings of these names, they convey what the future holds. So,
yeah.
Shall we look?
And I just want to add, like, even though we're showing the lineage from Adam to Noah, it's so interesting that the lineage, like Jesus, you can track his lineage all the way back to Adam. And yeah, so with that, yes, I will. Let me pull that up and share my screen.
So do you want to just go through each name and then put that up at the end?
Sure. Do you want me to start? You want to start? You want to do it back and forth?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Well, I mean, it's pretty straightforward as to what Adam means. Adam means man. And this is one example I think I'll pull up in that lexicon to show you all. But he was the first man, so that makes sense that Adam's meaning would be man in English. You want to talk about Seth a little bit?
Sure. So Seth was Adam's son, and it means appointed. And in Genesis 4:25, Eve said, "For God hath appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew." So Seth means appointed.
Yeah. And Enosh,
Enosh.
is it Enosh?
Enosh.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. His meaning is mortal, also frail and miserable. And that's when men began to defile
Mhm.
the name of the living gods. And these names are super interesting. So I'm going to just look at some of the commentary that Carrie set up for us, because Carrie knows these these names and meanings. But basically, it was in the days of Enosh that men began to call on the name of the living God, likely in direct response to the wicked descendants of Cain. And the contrast between them and the descendants of Cain was great. The battle between good and evil is made evident during this time, and also the need for God. Isn't it amazing how those things happen
Mhm.
throughout the history? Yeah, why don't you go ahead with the next one, Carrie?
So Canaan, Enosh's son, means sorrow, dirge, or elegy.
Yep.
And some attribute it to the Aramaic root synonymous with Canaan. And I know you mentioned that early, Nevs.
Yes, I did.
And so, but yes, that name means sorrow or dirge.
So that's separate from Canaan with the C.
Some attribute it to the Aramaic root that is synonymous with it, but it is the name was Kenan. The
Okay,
son of Enosh is Kenan.
gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move on to, is it Mahalalel?
Yes, Mahalalel. Good job.
I know, it's like, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing these right. I still don't know if I'm pronouncing all the books of the Bible correctly, to be honest. So that was Kenan's son,
Mhm.
and it means blessed or praise.
Mhm.
Interesting. The the name for God.
Mhm.
Thus, Mahalalel means blessed God.
Mhm.
And many Hebrew names included El,
Mhm.
the name of God, such as Daniel.
Mhm.
God is my judge.
Mhm. Or Ezekiel. Yeah, those they added that at the end because it means God. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Mhm.
All right, so tell us about Jared, Carrie.
So Jared, Mahalalel's son, uh, the name comes from the verb yarad, meaning shall come down. Very simple, straightforward.
Well, so what does the meaning of shall come down?
We shall see.
Ah, okay. Sounds good. And Jared's son was Enoch.
Mhm.
Enoch means teaching or commencement. He was the first of 4 generations of preachers. And the earliest recorded prophecy was by Enoch,
Mhm.
which deals with the second coming of Christ. Isn't that interesting?
Mhm.
He prophesied, saying, "Behold, the Lord cometh with 10,000s of his saints."
Mhm.
I love that.
Yeah, that's in Jude 1:14-15.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
and the other little tidbit is that Enoch never died. He was taken up
Yeah.
by God
Yeah.
at the age of 365.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Interesting.
All right.
All right. So Methuselah.
Methuselah.
Enoch was the father of Methuselah, meaning his death shall bring. And this is very interesting because Enoch received the prophecy of the great flood and was told that as long as his son was alive, the judgment of the flood would be withheld. And yeah, when Methuselah died, the flood came within a year, hence the meaning of his name. And that's in Genesis 5:21 and 24.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. See, I'm still a early learner of the deep learning of the Bible because
I think we all are, seriously. There's
well,
so much.
like I said before, I've been Christian my whole life, but I haven't really been studying the Bible until recent years. And I'm going one by one through the books. So
It's great.
it is great.
It's awesome.
So how do I pronounce this name? Lamech or Lamech?
Lamech.
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 Methuselah's son. Okay. So his name means the despairing. Let's see. Lament or lamentation also. Oh, I see. It suggests despairing. So the meaning behind his word is really lament or lamentation. So
I mean, we still use it. It's evident in English today. Lament.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Why don't you close us off?
All right. Noah. Lamech was the father of Noah, and the name Noah is derived from Nacham, which means to bring relief or comfort.
That's awesome.
All right. So there are the names, the 10 generations. Let's put it together. We've got it right there. So man appointed mortal sorrow, the blessed God shall come down teaching, his death shall bring the despairing rest or comfort.
Isn't that amazing how that all goes together?
Yeah.
Blow my mind.
I mean, I wonder who the first person was that figured that out, right? I mean, there's so many things like that in the Bible. I mean,
oh my gosh.
I mean, it's the full gospel from design to destruction, then to life again, right there.
Oh, Moxie asked a good question.
Okay.
Do you think that God knows the names our parents will give us before our parents do?
I'll just say that God is not surprised by anything. So,
it would be interesting to look up my name. So my name is Mary. Oh, I just said that out loud. Shoot. Well, I'm not anonymous anymore, I guess. So my name is Mary. And I would love to look that up. Huh. Interesting. That's a really good question, Moxie. You know what? I do think, well, God is all knowing, so he knows everything.
Exactly.
So the question of whether he knows, but it's interesting how do our parents know to give us the names they give us? And I've got other thoughts that I'm not going to say out loud, actually. But I might say it one day in another podcast. That's of a different topic. So
Mary means beloved, by the way.
What's that?
Mary means beloved.
Oh, well, isn't that sweet? Love it, love it, love it. Okay, let me just see if we've got love you too, Patriot AU. So I was just seeing if there was any comments or suggestions, but I just have to say that just blew my mind.
Yeah.
So this was the first time I've seen this. Well, not today, obviously, when you sent it to me a while ago, but my mind was like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's our God.
Yeah.
That's
It's
our
so
God.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right.
I had some interesting tidbits.
A lot of interesting tidbits.
Well, no, I mean, I just wanted to share about the ages. I just find it fascinating how long these men lived, between 777 to 969 years. Adam was 930, Seth 912. Methuselah is the oldest, as we all know. He's 969.
I was looking at those timelines earlier, and I should have pulled it up, to show how long they lived.
Yeah, I mean, they lived a long time. And I found this interesting. I didn't know this. I didn't realize it. But Noah and Abraham were contemporaries for 39 years.
Really?
Yeah.
That is so interesting.
Yeah. And then after the flood, lifespans were shortened dramatically. I mean, Abraham lived 175 years. So there's a lot that people suggest as to why atmospheric changes or diet change, but I don't know. It's just anyway. Thought that was
super interesting. Yeah.
Would you want to live that long now?
Well, not in this day and age, but if it comes to on earth as it is in heaven, then maybe,
I mean, just the changes in the last couple hundred years. But anyway, I digress.
Well, the times we live in, though, it's so amazing to witness, even though there's a lot of chaos and a lot of good versus evil right now. I feel blessed to be alive during this time.
Oh, yeah.
I
mean, a lot of people say, oh, it's getting worse. And yeah, I mean, Revelation does indicate that it does progressively get worse. But I mean, think about when Jesus was alive. I mean, those were really wretched times.
Imagine being alive during that, though. I mean
evil has always been, so
yeah.
Since the fall. So, I mean, it's always been that battle. I think that we're just seeing it more clearly now. I think that God has just kind of pulled aside the veil that evil was operating in a little bit more shrouded.
Pulled aside the veil. Recently I posted on Telegram the actual definitions of Revelation and Apocalypse, and it is to pull back the veil, to reveal, so truth is coming out. They want us to be afraid of those words, but they don't mean the negative, they don't have negative meanings that society has pushed forth as far as negative.
Yeah.
They're actually very positive.
Well, yeah.
Becca has a question. She wants to know how long a year was back then. If they lived for 900 years, was that really our what
was their calendar?
Yeah.
Oh my. Does someone in chat know that? Because I'm not an expert on that with the Gregorian and like when things that
is
Now that is a good question worth pondering.
If anyone in chat knows the answer to that question, whether on YouTube, Twitter, Rumble, let us know. Most folks are on Rumble, though, I believe. Very good question. I have no idea. We'll just be honest, we don't know.
I mean, it's not going to be a lot shorter. I mean, whenever it did, the calendar changed. It's not enough. I mean, I don't know. I'd say 969 years is, even if today it equaled a little bit less or a little bit more, it's a long time.
Moxie said, this sounds like a question for Anonymous, and I would agree. So yeah. Moxie, let's go put that question out to him. I bet he knows.
Oh, I bet he does for sure.
So, yeah, I'll take this down. I was thinking, before we get into our last segment, since we talked about words and the meanings behind words, and I showed the lexicon, that maybe we could look up a couple of those and then end with the prophecies.
Sure.
If you don't think that's time worth taking, let me know. But I find it very interesting, and I jotted down some of the number references. So if you saw that gal's video, she said, oh, this is number 7225, or this is number 7898. So actually, so that first page I showed you, you can click to go to the concordance. And then if you go in here, they have different ways of searching. You can search different things, but I'm just going to use the primary search. So one of the things she pointed out was 7225, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I search for that, what it takes you is to what word that is and what the word means. And if you go down, it will also tell you. So this is alpha. This happens to be one of the words that she was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It will give you the scripture verses as to where you can find that word, which I find very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So if I type in, like we said, Adam means man, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I type in Adam and I do a search for Adam, I can click on the number of his name here and it will take me to Adam. It means masculine, but right here, the biblical usage, it means man or mankind, a human being.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can go down and see where the word of man is used in different verses. So that's kind of how you can get around that lexicon.
Mm-hmm.
I find it very intriguing and interesting. It makes me want to dig.
You could get lost
And
in that for days.
I know I could get lost in this. I might
So
need to
fun.
take 2 weeks off of work.
Do that on your vacation.
Yeah. Yeah, my next vacation is going to be the week of July 24th because that's just what I decided to pick.
I'm glad you're
I
finally
have
doing it.
I have so much vacation to take. It's unbelievable. All right. Should we get into prophecy and talk about how the Old Testament prophesied Jesus?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll let you start, Carrie.
Well, I was just thinking about how God revealed Christ in the beginning. Obviously, we just saw that, it was before and through creation.
Mm-hmm.
And then the judges and the prophets, and then Christ himself in the New Testament. But I was surprised, there are over 300 prophecies about Jesus in the Old Testament.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Yeah. And then there are also numerous fulfillments from the Old Testament that Jesus fulfilled in the New Testament. So we're going to be talking about verses that tie Jesus from the Old Testament to the New Testament, and then the fulfillment of the prophecies as well.
I like it.
Yeah. So she did share this, and I just want to just drive it home. John 1:1-3. And so obviously he's referring to in the beginning. And, when you're as a new Christian, you read that, and you kind of go, was the word, and the word was with God. Like, what does that all mean? But like, she really helped like open that up to,
Mm-hmm.
and so in the beginning was the word, and the word was with God, and the word was God, and he was in the beginning with God. All things came into being through him, and apart from him, nothing came into being that has come into being.
So amazing.
Right? And
Mm-hmm.
so the word was in existence before creation, and we know the word is Jesus, who the word became flesh. And that's in John 1:14. And the word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory as the only begotten Son from the Father, full of grace and truth. And so, does anyone else have chills? Because I do again.
all of this is so amazing. And honestly, like I think almost every one of them gives me chills. And
I know.
there's
So,
like more than 300 prophecies in the Old Testament that
Mhm.
we could go to the New Testament and prove that those prophecies were realized.
Yeah. And remember in Genesis 1:26, God said, "Let us make man in our image." He did speak it in singularly, but he said, "Let us make man in our image."
Yes.
Okay,
I
so
love it.
yeah. So there's
Inspector's here too.
oh, hey,
Hey,
Inspector.
Inspector. Moxie says she does have chills.
Okay, cool. Do you want to share a prophecy?
Yes, I would love to. There are so many. It was hard for me to pick from some, but let me see which ones. So, since we talked about lineage,
Mhm.
I thought it might be interesting to bring up a prophecy from Genesis
Mhm.
and then talk about how it was fulfilled through Acts. So the prophecy is Genesis 12:3. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee, and in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. And this kind of shows that the nations will be blessed through Abraham's lineage.
Mhm.
So in Acts 3:25 through 26, it says, Ye are the children of the prophets and of the covenant which God made with our fathers, saying unto Abraham, And in thy seed shall all the kindreds of the earth be blessed. Unto you first, God, having raised up his son Jesus, sent him to bless you in turning away every one of you from his iniquities. So the nations are blessed through Abraham's lineage. And I just think that's a cool fulfillment since we
Mhm.
were talking about lineage.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Love it.
really liked that one. So
Well, and it's interesting too that he and Sarah got a little impatient because they were old, for childbearing years, right? And how are we gonna
it's,
how am I gonna be the father of many nations when we don't have any kids,
yeah,
And yeah, God does amazing things in the 11th
he,
hour.
he does. There's another lineage one I'm not going to cover, but it's David. The prophecy is in 2 Samuel 7:12 through 13, if you guys want to look it up. And then look up Matthew 1:1, and it's pretty cool.
You don't want to
So,
share it?
well, I wasn't going to. I was just
Okay.
wanting.
What
It's
about
just David's lineage, would establish the eternal kingdom,
Mhm.
and yeah, I just wanted to cover one lineage one, but that was another one I was looking at. I'm petting
Yeah.
my dog, by the way,
Yeah,
because
Dave
Oliver came and wanted a
Oliver.
little attention,
Um,
and he's such a sweetheart.
I'm trying to remember how many. Okay, so David is Jesus, like great, great,
Okay.
great, great. How many great
I don't know
grandfathers?
how many greats.
Oh, I always forget, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what about Isaiah 7:14?
Oh my gosh, I love this one. Go for it. Yeah.
Therefore, the Lord Himself will give you a sign: the virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and she will name him Emmanuel, which means God with us. So that was
That was already proven. I mean,
that was 700 years before Jesus was born.
okay, there's another blow
Yeah,
your mind, right?
yeah. Isaiah. I have a few from Isaiah because it's one of my favorite books. But do you want to share some?
I'm just reading that one now. So that's
Great.
interesting. I love a lot from Isaiah. I actually have one from Isaiah too, but yeah, I love that one because 700 years before,
Hmm.
you know.
Hmm.
Not only that, so I've got one related to his birth too. That Jesus would be born in Bethlehem.
Hmm.
And so the prophecy says, But thou, Bethlehem, uh, I'm trying to read this, Ephrata. I don't know if I'm probably blowing the how I'm supposed to pronounce that, but though, though thou be little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of thee shall he come forth unto me that is to be ruler in Israel, whose goings forth have been from of old, from everlasting. And then the fulfillment of that obviously is Jesus, but in Matthew 2:4 through 6, um, And when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he demanded of them where Christ should be born. And they said unto him, in Bethlehem. For thus it is written by the prophet. So it was prophesied, and Matthew is just kind of saying, hey, and it was fulfilled because they said it would be in Bethlehem. So I really like that one too.
I love it. Thank you. Well, Isaiah 9:6 is this, it's to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, and Prince of Peace. And everyone knows this one, right? Because it's just so amazing. But the distinction there of a child is born of Mary, a son is given that's from God, and Jesus gave his life. It was not taken. And so I just love that deeper meaning in that
It's
verse.
super deep. That's
Yeah.
really, really a good one. Absolutely. The last one I have that I'll share is, it kind of shows that Jesus would perform miracles in Isaiah 35, 4-6. It's really interesting because the exact words were given in Matthew 11 later. And it says, the eyes of the blind shall be opened, the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. Then shall the lame man leap as a hart, and the tongue of the dumb sing, for in the wilderness shall waters break out and streams in the desert. And then in Matthew, it says, when John had heard in the prison the works of Christ, he sent 2 of his disciples. And when Jesus answered them, he talked about this, saying that the blind receive their sight, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear. So it's pretty cool that prophecy was fulfilled. And Matthew 11, 2-6 talks about that.
Love it.
I
Love
do too.
Well,
There's like a million.
excuse me. I'm still in Isaiah.
Of course. Isaiah is pretty incredible.
I'll just stay there all night. So 53:5, but he was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was on him, and by his stripes we are healed. And so, again, hundreds of years before the crucifixion, but pierced in his hands and feet and in his side while he was up on the cross, and his stripes from the 39 lashes as part of the crucifixion before, right? And that we are healed not of physical ailments, but of our sin through his death on the cross. So
Which chapter and verse of Isaiah was that?
that's 53:5.
Oh,
Yeah.
just amazing.
Yeah. So
It's mind-blowing, really.
it is.
And like we said, there's over 300. I think you have a lot more to share. I
Well,
only pulled a few, but go for it.
Well, let's see. Psalm 69:21, they put gall in my food and gave me vinegar for my thirst. And in John 19:29-30, a jar of sour wine was standing there. So they put a sponge full of the sour wine on the branch of hyssop and brought it to his mouth. Therefore, when Jesus had received the sour wine, he said, it is finished. And he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. So that sour wine was like a vinegar mixture.
One of the most powerful moments.
Right. And so, but Psalms had that prophecy. And
Interesting.
And another one, in a couple other in Psalms, Psalm 22:16, dogs surround me, a pack of villains encircles me, they pierce my hands and my feet.
Wow.
Yeah. And then also in Psalm 31:5, into your hands I commit my spirit. He said that. And then Jesus on the cross, remember? calling out with a loud voice, said, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." And having said this, he breathed his last breath.
Wow.
So sorry.
Chills.
I
Chills.
don't know. I'm going to try not to cry, but
Or as Malaya said, God bumps.
God bumps. I mean, yeah, there are so many. I don't know if I should go on. I mean,
there are
I have a lot.
so many references to Jesus. And in the in Exodus, Jesus was our Passover lamb that was sacrificed.
Yeah.
You know?
Exodus 12:23, right?
Oh gosh, you are good. 12:21.
Okay, because I have it right here.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, it was one. I was like, am I talking
Oh
to
shoot. Did I say one of yours without meaning
No,
to?
I want you to share it. So it's I think it's 21 to 23, but go for it.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead. I'm letting Oliver come up and join us.
Okay, so the Lord will pass through to smite the Egyptians, and when he sees the blood on the lintel and the two doorposts, the Lord will pass over the door and will not allow the destroyer to come into your houses and destroy you. And so here we see where the Passover celebration comes from, that has, is still today. And so the blood above the doors was that of an unblemished, perfect lamb, which God instructed in order to protect them from the angel of death, right? And although it's not a prophecy, it brings significance to when John the Baptist first sees Jesus. Do you remember? Actually, he doesn't see him when he's in the womb because, he's his cousin, but he like both. Anyway, I'm going to digress there. I'm going to get back. I could. Sorry. So when in John 1:29, let's get back to when John the Baptist saw Jesus. The next John 1:29, the next day he sees Jesus coming to him and said, "Behold, the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world." Remember? And the key from the Old Testament to the New, of course, we know, is that back then they had to do a yearly sacrifice, right? But in the New Testament, it was fulfilled through Christ, done once and for all on the cross.
Yep. Once and for all. Yep.
Once and for all, right?
And for all. Yeah.
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 So
those are great. Those are great. Did you have any other ones or?
I could go on, but we could be here for a long, long time. But I have an interesting final thought that are you ready to go on to final thoughts, or do you want to share?
Oh, absolutely. I'm ready. I finished my parts. So
okay. So I'm sorry I don't have the name of this person, but is a mathematical genius explains how.
Neffs? Are you talking about Neff?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
But no, you're pretty genius.
No.
Technology and everything you do. So he laid it out like this: the odds of Jesus fulfilling only eight of over 300 prophecies is 1 in 10 to the 17th power. So let's break that down. So
wow.
10 squared is like 10 times 10, right? And then 10 to the third is 10 times 10 times 10. Okay, so we do that 10 times 10, 17 times.
Yeah.
And okay, so here's a good way to illustrate this. If you take enough 50-cent coins to cover the entire state of Texas, and then stack them 1 foot high, then place one gold coin somewhere in the midst, and then walk around, decide where you want to pick your one coin, because there's one gold coin in that giant mix covering Texas. And you could look anywhere you want and be able to just pull it out, right?
Yep. That is how the odds are incredible.
I mean, I don't even know what that number comes up to. 10 times 10, 17 times.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I didn't calculate it, but
it's so interesting you bring this up, because I was reading about the odds of these prophecies coming true just yesterday. And I didn't even think to add it. I was just a part of my research.
Yeah, I mean, that's just 8. So I don't know how many coins that would be, but 1 gold coin, and to be able to find it, that's what, those are the same odds. And for 8. So what about 300?
Yeah.
And so the question worth pondering is, what are we going to do with these truths, right?
Yep. That's a excellent point that you make there. It's incredible. It's like coincidences, and when you see too many of them, then they're no longer. How many times does something have to be a coincidence before you realize it's something?
I don't believe there are coincidences. I call them coinkydinks. There are no
Coinkydinks.
no coinkydinks. I don't think so.
No, this was an incredible, mind-blowing show, because I think a lot of people might have already known some of this stuff, but I think a lot of people maybe didn't. And if you're like me, where I just discovered some of this stuff some of it in the last days, but others in the last just couple of years, it's incredible. I think it's just incredible. It makes you want to dig in to the Bible more and see more messages from God that you may not see just in the words,
Absolutely.
So
There's so much there just to be discovered.
so much to be discovered,
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I guess we'll close it there. I think this was a great show. And thank you, Carrie, for all of your biblical knowledge that you bring. You're
too.
definitely what I would call an expert on the Bible.
Not
I'm
even
just learning.
close. Not even close. I have.
And thank you for everyone who joined us in chat. I'm just going to see if there's any other questions. Moxie, 17, you say. Who said 17? Did one of us say 17? Anyway, yes, thank you,
to the 17th,
Becca.
10 to the 17th power.
Oh, to the 17th power. 17, you say? Yeah, no, thank you everybody for joining us. I hope you like this video, and subscribe to our channel. Tell your friends about it. We really enjoy doing this. We go every Tuesday, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Any other closing thoughts from you, Carrie?
No, just, really enjoyed it. I just love talking about scripture and
Well,
all
it's
the
eye-opening. Just like
yeah.
even when we talk about politics, it's like eye-opening. More information, right? Bring out the truth.
Yeah, I mean, it's an integrated message system, and it's a love letter to us.
Oh, a love letter. I love that.
Yeah.
All right. With that, I hope you guys have a good night. See ya.
Good night.
Bye.
Night, friends.
I can see clearly.